Hey guys, what is up? Roshi is here. Today we're taking a look at Stonescar Reactor Shrine. I built this deck as a quick way to push ranks. This is in fact an expedition deck. Very quick way to rank up, and even probably once Bastion comes out, this will still be a solid deck. Assuming nothing rotates out. Obviously, if Shrine to Carve It rotates out, then this deck just kind of goes out the window. But pretty straightforward list. Running plenty of fodder in the form of Grenadine drones, Kato to make bodies, Syl makes bodies, Blight Moth leaves some corrupted units around, Rat Cage just absolutely pumping out guys, and then because we're playing Rat Cage, we're going to go ahead and run stuff like Makar's Quiver, Marionette Cross, Shrine to Carve It, and Reactor Forge. These are all enabling us to create rats and bodies on the board to go extremely wide with Shrine to Carve It and generate a lot of value with our Kindling Carvers, Strange Burglars, and Devours. So, pretty straightforward list. The deck tech doesn't need too much explanation. Early on, we're going to be looking to play stuff like Rat Cage and Reactor Forge. This is going to allow us to develop our board and start setting up for later on. Hopefully later on in the game we'll have a Reactor Forge ticking, and we're going to be slamming out Strange Burglars super early, refilling our hand, making big attacks with Shrine, and hopefully just closing out the game really quickly, much more quicker and faster than perhaps other Shrine lists. One thing to keep in mind, this list might lack in stopping power in the late game, so we're kind of trying to use Reactor Forge and Rat Cage to just kind of cheese our way around through the game as efficiently and quickly as possible so that we get to the point where later on in the game we can start earlier in the game than any like FPS Shrine or FTS Shrine or even Wind Chest Shrine decks can really start popping off because Reactor Forge helps us get there faster. So pretty solid list. One of the perks of being just Stonecar, as I like to call it, the Freddie Flintstone deck, is we get Broken Contract. Our influence is pretty solid in this list, so we're able to squeak this card in here, and it kind of fits the theme of making our stuff that just attacks. It's a free unit most of the time. If you draw it earlier, whatever, we have plenty of influence, but later on, once we've got things in the void, with Shrine to Carve It triggered in play, this is a 6/1 with haste and lifesteal and charge, so no slouch. That's going to punch through a lot of things. And other than that, important things to look at in the market, we've got Combust. This is one of our main ways of dealing with Rollant. We have Burglarize, Induce Madness, Wyatt's Junkyard, and Shavka's Embrace. Burglarize is going to help you against enemy relics and things of that sort. You can always opt to use like 1 power destroy target attachment instead. Wouldn't blame you for that, but we have a ton of power usually with Reactor Forge, so I've opted to be a little greedier with this slot. Induce Madness, this is a pretty solid card. You potentially could swap this out with something like Open Contract, or something else that just deals like an extra way to deal with Rollant. And where that could come into play is then we don't have to sack a guy and give them a free 1/1 with flying. But honestly, those decks usually are so slow, they don't have time to really stop us from just plowing through them. But some hands can be rough to beat, so maybe you'd want an Open Contract to deal with that. That's up to you. Wyatt's Junkyard is one of the best value cards we have access to. We only have Shavka's Embrace as a weapon to buy back, but you could potentially be playing other weapons in your deck if you wanted to. They're totally good options. I've opted to play Marionette Cross instead as just the big fatty beater, but this could totally be just some other relic weapon, and then maybe you can get some extra mileage out of your junkyard. Shavka's Embrace is fantastic with Reactor Forge. In case you didn't know, when your Reactor Forge deals damage to you at the end of the turn, it will actually trigger your Shavka's Embrace, and it won't trigger the discard until the next turn. So you'll have an entire turn and untap step to spend all of that to play all of the cards you draw off Shavka's Embrace. So you'll draw 7, they'll all be 1 power cheaper, and the next turn, And even on your opponent's turn, if you draw fast spells, you'll be able to just slap down all of these spells, and by the time you're able to cast a Shafka's Embrace, you should be able to just hard cast everything you draw, and that'll close out a game really quickly, unless you just never had a hope to begin with. So that's the list. Pretty straightforward. If you find this interesting, subscribe for more.